Uh, I get a chance to pass the torch over to Mr.
Thank
O'Shell.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I've never had a torch passed to me before. It's very exciting feeling. Welcome everybody. Good evening. I don't know how many of you are just joining in or have just stuck with us here, but welcome. We're going to specifically address our seniors, the experience for seniors, what you should expect this year, what to keep in mind. There's some announcements and other so forth that we'll send out as we go along. But I think kind of a burning question and kind of question to prioritize is what seniors need to make sure that they are doing in order to graduate, and what kind of sort of next steps after 12th grade, what that looks like. Once again, just in case you're joining now, my name is David O'Shell. I'm a proud assistant principal of Wooten High School. I am really blessed to be working at Wooten, particularly with our seniors. You all did a great job raising these fine young men and women who are at Wooten High School. They are super organized, super respectful. It's just really a treat. It's really a dream come true. So thank you. Great job with raising them. Um, uh, and I'll just make my quick little pitch. Some of you have heard this already from me, so hopefully you're not kind of too tired of hearing about this. But one thing I've really been trying to focus on this year with our seniors, and the conversation I've really been trying to start is about good study habits, good organizational habits, note-taking skills for when they go to college. This is a great book right here called How to Become a Straight A Student. You can request a free copy. We have about 40 copies. Thanks to the PTSA and a very generous grant, we're able to buy a whole bunch of them. They look beautiful. I love opening up a brand new box of books like that. That was like Christmas morning for me. We are handing out free copies to our students because um, really when I was a student, this was something like this, managing your time was something that I felt like I saw other kids doing. I wasn't really doing that myself very much, and it just seemed like something that different kids knew from each other or from their parents, but it was never really like explicitly taught, like how to manage your time effectively, how to study effectively. Kids would go home and do this thing called studying. And I thought that I was doing that. I would open up my notes in my book and I would read over it, and that was studying. And then an hour later, I was all done. And then I would go take that test, and it wasn't pretty. I think also a lot of our students are working very hard. I really respect how much time they're putting in, how the course load that they're taking on. Again, that was not something I was really keyed into doing. It would have seemed odd to me when I was in high school. I really respect what they're doing. And I worry about them sometimes because I don't know that they're handling that in the most effective way. And I hear a lot of students tell me that they're working hard more than they're really working smart. And so this book really has great tips, and I'm just showing one here. Just easy way to just manage your time. Just take a jot down notes and to-do items on a little scrap of paper, but then every morning for 5 minutes, you're just dedicating that time to calendaring out what you need to do and writing down these long-term assignments. I think that would be an enormous step for some of our students who are walking around thinking, I have so much to do. I don't even know what I have to do. I just know that I have so much to do. They don't have those different tasks and items, action items really organized for themselves. So this is a QR code here. I've sent this out in some regular emails if you want to go back and search your email for this. This will link you to a Google form. I have about 40 copies left. Be happy to get them out to some students. I'm sure there are some parents too I've talked to about this. They've just popped into Amazon and ordered it. It's a nice short little book, gives some great strategies. I think it's something that's needed at Wooten, and I think will help a lot of the stress our students are under, and will help other students too who just really want to perform better and do better than they have been doing. So that's my little pitch. That's what I'm trying to work with your students on, among a host of other things. But I just wanted to put that out there since we have this little face to face. If you would like to request a copy of this book, you can use this QR code, and your child can come to the main office and pick it up. It's going to be great. The only thing I would ask though is whenever they get it, I'm gonna give them a little bookmark, and on that bookmark there's another QR code for them to fill out a short little form just saying what is one strategy that you tried, how did that work? Because I want this to really be a conversation. Students are trading different ideas, different things that they have tried, so that we can all learn about this thing that was sort of hidden knowledge for a long time. And then, Miss McDonald, can I pass the ball to you next?
I would be happy for that. I just want to, before I get into like our presentation, I just want to attach what I'm saying to something that Mr. Rochelle just mentioned about students who use tools to work smarter and not harder, who train themselves to use things like agendas or some other timekeeping, record keeping. Um, I am, as a college advisor, I am constantly shocked when students tell me that they have no way of keeping track of everything that they are doing for this college application process. I can assure you both as a parent and as somebody who does this work that the students who are the least stressed and the most prepared are going to be the ones who have devised something that works for them, whether that's a typical spreadsheet, some sort of calendaring system, just a list, something. So if your student is one of the students who does not currently do that, I would encourage them to figure out some system that works for them. There are so many details to keep track all of senior year, not just with college applications, but all of senior year. And it would really benefit them to learn what kind of system works for them now, before, while the stakes are a little bit lower than before they go to college. So just a little plug, reiterating with what Mr. Rochelle has said. All right, and let me see if I can share my screen. All righty. Okay. So before we get into like the weeds of college and where your students should be and where your students are headed as we go through this year, I just want to share some class of 2026 general information. A lot of this will be updated as we go along. Um, Mr. O'Shell will be sharing out class of 2026 specific information as it comes up, whether that's through a Canvas course or through his like Remind and account and things like that. So please be on the lookout for that. There are a lot of things that just affect seniors only. And if this is your first senior, you might not be aware of that timeline. We don't know our graduation date yet. Yet, I'm looking. Yes. And we usually don't find that out till later. So once we get that information, the parents will receive information about what we're going to do for graduation. I just want to put on everybody's radar, though, that graduation rehearsal always takes place the day before graduation. If our graduation is on a Monday, then it would be on the previous Friday. It is mandatory in order to participate in the ceremony. And also at graduation, by the time the students get to graduation rehearsal, they need to have done the MCPS senior survey, as well as told us where they want their transcripts to be sent to. So just things that we will remind them as we go along. And also, if this is your first senior, you might not be aware that seniors do not stay with us until the typical end of the school year. Seniors do stop coming to school a few weeks early in order for us to get all the graduation ceremonies and MCPS done. So just something to put on your radar. All right. So I'm calling this the college application journey, but I feel like for the sake of equity, I want to explain why I'm sort of focusing on that. Obviously, there are many paths that students can take after they leave here. And all of us here at Wooten, you know, are versed in helping students achieve whatever path they're interested in. I will say, as I've prepared our school profile to go out to colleges this year, from the class of 2025, the class that just graduated, we had about a 91% going to a traditional four-year college. That's very, very high. And so that's why a lot of what I'm going to say is going to skew towards the college process. But by no means am I saying that we won't or can't help a student who is interested in doing something different. And I believe Dr. Bostic or Mr. O'Shell will be able to share out slides after or post them. So in case you can't get all of this information, don't worry, we will get this information to you. So up now we have our September 2025 calendar. This is something that Dr. Ponce has put together. I don't know if she wants to talk about it.
Sure, sure. So one of the things that I would like to do this year that I started with September is to send out a flyer for the month with the events that we are sponsoring. Again, this is the work that is proactive that we do when we think about what are the areas that students need to be supported in. And so in September, we're really focusing, as you can see, with our seniors. So this week, we began calling our students down one by one, our seniors, and having a 10 to 15-minute session with them, making sure we are understanding their post-secondary plan, and going over many of the things that we'll talk to you this evening about. We are also going over with the students, and knowing their specific plan. We opted for that rather than doing a whole group presentation. We felt that given that we were new, we wanted to get in, meet the students one-to-one and give them that one-to-one support and attention. I would say that the majority of the students already have recommendation letters from their school counselors prior to them leaving. But that is something that we are verifying. When we're meeting with students, we're checking in Naviance, and if for some reason a student does not have a letter, I tell the students, I promise you we can write phenomenal letters for students, even if we have just met you. We have done this work and we know how to connect with students, kind of get their energy, their how they're presenting, talk to them about like what things they've achieved, and be able to then craft a letter to support that student for college. So that's one thing we're doing this week. And then next week also, we will be available for students during advisory and lunch, and we're calling it the College Application Support Week. So helping with all things Naviance. What tasks have they not completed in Naviance? Where are they stuck? Where do they need support? And just having that time to have an adult in the building help them. So that'll be kind of 2 weeks of really intense support for our seniors to get them through in preparation for the very first college deadline that I believe is typically October 15th. That tends to be Southern schools, but that is our first kind of application deadline that then just kicks about every 15 days. There's another set of colleges that have application deadlines.
And I also want to mention, so we have that September 29th to October 3rd as sort of that help, you know, a week of specialized help. Obviously, the help has been ongoing since, honestly, over the summer. But I also want to talk about on October 3rd, we're probably going to conclude that week with something that we're calling Planning for the Future Friday, where we are going to have some of our teachers and some of our community partners help with, students can sign up to get their essays reviewed. Our partner from Montgomery College will be coming in to help students who know that they are headed to Montgomery College to get that process rolling. I have been talking to some of our military representatives to have them come in case there are students who are opting for the military rather than a traditional college experience. So we will have more information as we get closer to that. And then just for anyone who missed it, our annual college fair for Wooten has been set for Monday, October 6th from 5 to 7 p.m. That will be in the Wooten cafeteria. If you have ever been before, you know that it is quite the event with, honestly, colleges fighting for space to come talk to our students. We obviously are concentrated on Wooten students, but this is an event that is open to anyone who's interested in coming. So definitely put that on your calendar, and we'll send stuff about that as well. So I'm just going to breeze through some of this. But just so you know, every class has graduation requirements that they are supposed to meet. If you have MCPS will be sending out information to every senior and their family, but just something to be aware of. Your counselor will be talking with your senior through this process as well. But I just wanted to mention that there are graduation requirements specific to MCPS as well as the state of Maryland that your student will have to meet. I have been getting a lot of questions about how do our students sign up for visits to college, visits from colleges. So here at Wooten, we're very lucky that colleges seek us out, seek our students out. And so my calendar is full, probably at least 4 slots a day, every day from last week until November 1st, with colleges visiting Wooten. Seniors and juniors are allowed to come to meet colleges even if they occur during a school period. Freshmen and sophomores can't do that, but I encourage the students to register for that in Naviance. It will look like this when they log on. It just helps us keep track, especially if they're missing class. As I tell the students, and I will tell you as parents, we encourage those visits, but they have to be mindful about their class responsibilities. This is not an opportunity to get out of taking a test or anything like that. And if we find out from their teacher that that is something that they're doing, we're going to have some conversations about their continued participation in these college visits. If you are a new parent to Wooten and you aren't familiar with this, last year, I think I entertained 140 plus different colleges within the month of September and October who came here to meet with Wooten students to answer their questions, tell them about their schools. This is a very unique opportunity that not all schools, even within MCPS, have. And so our students are very, very lucky, and I definitely want and encourage them to take advantage of that. So you might have been hearing a lot about something called the Common App. The Common App is I guess, a comprehensive college application platform. All of the colleges, over 1,000 of them in the United States and elsewhere, have gotten together to agree to a certain parameters for applications to make it easier on students. I don't know if some of you remember what it was like when we were applying for colleges and we had to fill out individual applications for every school. Our kids do not have to deal with that. So one of the things, if you are wondering what your kid should have done for this process so far, they should have created a Common App profile. They should have an account and they should be filling out their Common App. That is a big thing that I would advise all seniors who are planning to apply to college to kind of get started on. I will mention, because I am working with a student who did not do this, please make sure that your student uses their personal email address. Remember that the MCPS email address cannot receive emails from outside, and it will mess up their whole system. So please make sure that they have done that correctly. So I get a lot of questions from parents about what is Naviance. What the Common App is the actual application. Naviance is basically a planning hub that MCPS subscribes to, as do a lot of school districts. Your student has had an account with Naviance all through high school, and they can access it through their Clever account. It's one of the tabs in there. And that is where they are going to put in their information so that we as the school can communicate with their colleges on their behalf. So in order to allow Wooten teachers, counselors, myself, to communicate with the schools that your students are applying to, they have to do something called matching their Common App and Naviance. And the students have received information numerous times from me in a variety of different ways about doing this. Should be something that they are all doing right now. So once they've created their Common App account, they will go into Naviance, match those accounts, and also do something called waiving their FERPA rights. That is a legal step that signifies that the student is authorizing Wooten to speak to colleges on their behalf even if the student doesn't know exactly what we're saying. So this is the way that the colleges know that the student has not tampered essentially with any recommendations or their transcript. And when I send this out, you will be able to link to a YouTube video as well as see a screenshot of what that should look like on the student's end. The next step in all of this is requesting their transcript. Students also received information on how to do that. But just for the parents, this is a step that all colleges will require, whether they are applying to a 2-year college like Montgomery College or a traditional 4-year school. They are requesting their initial transcript. The initial transcript covers all of their grades that they have received up until the end of 11th grade. It will, if they have any summer school classes from summer before 12th grade, and then it will also list the classes they are currently signed up for 12th grade, obviously with no grades yet. A lot of colleges will ask the student to hand type all of that information in as well, but that is just so that colleges can begin that evaluation process. It won't be real until they receive this transcript from us. And this is just a screenshot so you can know what it looks like on your student's end and where they do it. It's very clearly labeled. It shouldn't be a problem once the students are in their Naviance account. But just another screenshot of what it looks like, how they're going to do it, and then what it will look like on the bottom. That's what it will look like once they've done everything, once they've requested everything. And they will need to do that for each college. And this is just a reminder that right now they're just requesting their initial transcript. So that's the transcript that I mentioned that goes to the end of 11th grade. Later on, once our first semester is done, there are some colleges that will require a mid-year transcript, not all. And we will give students the information on how to do that. And then at the end of the year, like I mentioned, before they can participate in graduation, they need to tell us where we are sending their final transcript. I do want to remind parents, the students should know that Wooten does not send test scores. Test scores can only be sent when the student orders them either from College Board or ACT. But the vast majority of schools are still test optional, and that's something that you and your student need to talk about in terms of how they are going to apply. One of the big things that I hear from parents a lot is this teacher letter of recommendation. So you should know that through this college application process, the student is going to be dealing with several letters of recommendation. Dr. Ponce talked about the counselor letter of recommendations. Those the students do not request. That goes automatically. We do one for every senior. Teacher letter of recommendations are something different. Ideally, your student was supposed to ask some teachers to write letters of recommendation for them at the end of junior year. But all hope is not lost if that is something they have not done. If you know that your student has not done that, please encourage them to reach out to a teacher as soon as possible. We like to give our teachers as much time as we can in order for them to write a really well-crafted, meaningful letter. So not asking them 2 days before the submission deadline is ideal. And just some advice if your student isn't sure who they are going to ask. Talking to a lot of colleges, they like to see a recommendation from what they call a core academic class. That is your math, science, English, history. And ideally, they would like that to be from junior year if possible. If your student is asking for more than one teacher to write a letter of recommendation, they should consider asking somebody who they have worked with, who has taught them something that is related to their possible intended major at college. So for engineering, physics, or an advanced math teacher would be ideal. Pre-law, political science, now you're looking at the humanities side. As I mentioned, we like the students to ask the teachers in person if possible, and then follow up, not only because it's the polite thing to do, but also I think it teaches them skills that they need as they go into college and into the working professional world. And so, yes, follow up professionally once they have talked to their teacher in person. I encourage all students to follow up with an email to the teachers who have agreed to write their letters and help those people out by including a resume, a brag sheet, details from their experience in the class, anything that could help personalize that letter more. And the students will request that letter, the teacher letters, through Naviance. And this is what it would look like on the student's end. And they have the ability to select which letters go to which schools. Not all schools accept more than one letter. So it is up to the student to make that decision. Again, this is what that concept would look like. They would select the teacher and then select which colleges are going to receive the letter from a particular teacher. So I get a lot of questions from students who have done internships, worked with coaches for many years. Maybe they have a part-time job and they would like to ask their manager for a letter. That takes place outside of Naviance. So the way that I like to remember it is Naviance is MCPS and Common App is for everything outside of MCPS. So if they have a coach or someone else that wants to write a letter for them, they would request that in Common App. You can see a screenshot of what that would look like, and that would go in the other recommender section. And it gives examples there of the type of people that they can ask. I have had some students ask about teachers who have either left Wooten or retired from the profession. If the teacher has left Wooten but is still an MCPS teacher, the Naviance process works as normal. I don't remove teachers. So they can still ask that teacher through Naviance. That teacher will get alerted just like they would if they were in our building. If the teacher has retired from either MCPS or the profession in general, that does get a little bit trickier. What I recommend to most students is to have that teacher email their letter directly to me, not to the student, and then I will upload the letter to the student's Naviance account for them. That just seems to be the easiest way. So this is a important screen if you aren't sure how the process works. So under the number 1, these are all the things that the student is responsible for. The application itself, the application fees, so the cost of sending in an application, any essays and supplemental answers, and any SAT and ACT scores if they are sending them. And they are also responsible for requesting their transcripts and teacher letters of recommendation. Under number 2, this is what the teachers submit. They submit a letter of recommendation as well as something called a teacher evaluation form. And then under number 3, this is what Wooten is responsible for. We send the transcript as long as the student requests it. We send something called a school profile, which gives detailed information about Wooten. And we send out, as I said, automatically the counselor letter of recommendation, as well as something called the secondary school report forms. I do want to assure students, because I do have some students who are freaking out about deadline and the order of doing all of this. It does not matter the order that the information is sent, requested, anything like that. As long as the totality of the application is complete by the college's deadline. So yesterday I was in a training with Emory, who else? Pomona, Rice, a couple of really, Cornell, a couple of really big schools. And they all reiterated to us that they are so busy during the season, they are not looking at anything a student sends until after November 1st at the earliest. So please assure your student that as long as they get it in on time, that's the only thing that they have to worry about. There is no getting in line first. So here we go. The ideal application timeline. So ideally, they started this process sort of at the end of junior year and in the summer. If they have not, it's no big deal. They still have plenty of time to take care of those things right now. They should be working on finalizing their college list, so the list of schools that they are planning to apply to. They should be creating their Common App account and putting in some of that information. They should, if be working on their personal statement, even if they're not complete with it. Visiting colleges, if that's something that your family is interested in. And as I mentioned before I got started, getting organized, spreadsheets, calendars, whatever works for them. Right now, the bulk of Wooten students are in that fall, September to November section. So they are starting to figure out if they are applying early action, early decision. They are requesting their transcripts and recommendations. They might be, once October rolls around, starting the FAFSA financial aid process, maybe researching scholarships. Most of our students will be done with the bulk of their applications by November 1st. That is the really big application deadline for most of our students. There will be some outliers and some regular decision schools, but by and large, hopefully most of them will be done and can sort of turn their attention to other things. So in the winter, those are students submitting regular decision applications. If there's anything missing, that's what they'll be working on, and they're going to be looking at financial aid and scholarships. In spring, they should be receiving their decisions, looking at what financial aid offers they were given, and really the happy parts of the whole process, right? Future focused. And then late spring, like I mentioned, the senior survey requesting their final transcript and graduation. So I know if you were here for that 6 to 7 o'clock hour, this is something that our speakers went over. This is just information here. We don't really need to go into it. The bulk of the students are going to do something called early action, generally November 1st. A few students applying to highly selective schools may decide to do something called early decision. And that is something that they will need to discuss both with their families as well as their counselor. And then some schools will be, some students will be doing some regular decisions. So this is a question that we get asked a lot in the counseling department, and it is striking that balance between making sure that you apply to enough schools and then not putting so much pressure on yourself that you stress yourself out and you really miss out on the fun of senior year. And so that's really the goal of building something called a balanced college list. And generally, what the college admissions reps themselves advise is to do something where you make sure you have 1 to 2 what they call safety schools. So schools, when you look at their common data set, their typical admittance information, your student fully aligns, is in the top percentile of that. And I would say this, make sure it's a school that your student will want to go to. I can tell you from experience from our class of 2025, there were a number of students whose parents ended up losing one or both parents lost their jobs. And so their financial picture changed drastically over the course of senior year. And the schools that they thought they could afford, they could no longer afford. And an in-state affordable option was really a saving grace for those students. So I always encourage students to have at least one in-state safety if possible, but 2 to 3 safety schools that they would actually go to is ideal. Target schools, that's where your student is right in that center of the admittance information for a particular school. And that's going to vary by student, right? 3 to 5 is a good number. And of course, it should be schools that your student is excited to go to, schools that fit what they're looking to experience in the next 4 years. And then because we want to make sure that the student never has any regrets about what they did or didn't try, 2 to 4 reach schools. The reason why that number is sort of high, and it will vary for students, is because those schools tend to be highly selective and have a much lower admittance rate overall. And so you might need to cast a white net if you're hoping to sort of land in one of your reach schools. And a reach school is just a school where admission is ultra competitive. So, if you think of an Ivy League school, that's an example, but I mean, I think we can all agree that these days the University of Maryland seems to be a reach school for a lot of most students. So I get a lot of questions from parents about how will they know whether a school is a reach, a target, or a safety. And I just want to tell all of you, if you haven't heard of it already, about something called the Common Data Set. Every college is required to put out this information publicly. It will have, you can just Google the school name and Common Data Set, and you should be able to find it pretty quick. I put that, section C9 to C11 is probably where you're going to focus most of your attention, but you're going to look at the average GPA and test scores of the most recent admitted class and see how that stacks up against your students' statistics. All right. So again, in the 6 o'clock hour, if you were there, we heard from some speakers who talked really beneficially, I think, about crafting a personal statement. I will say, again, having met with those elite schools just yesterday, and this was a big topic of discussion, they really do, they're looking to see who you're going to be at their school. They want to know sort of what hats you're going to wear, what roles you're going to fill at that school. They want to be able to picture you as a student or your student at their school, and they need the help of the essay to figure that out. I'm not going to say it's the most important part of the application process, but I'm not going to say that it is something that a student should just breeze through. I think it's something that warrants a lot of time. And I do want to say that even if your student doesn't want to get feedback from you as a parent, which I get, they really shouldn't be submitting this blindly without any other set of eyes. So please encourage them to find somebody that can, look over what they are submitting. The other big thing that I talked with some of those selective schools yesterday about was I have a lot of students who are concerned about um, being tagged as AI in their essays, especially if they use something like Grammarly. All of the schools reassured me that they expect the students to be using things like Grammarly. You would be using that in the professional world. This is no different. And the schools were also talking about how, especially if a student is stuck on answering a question, AI can be a useful tool in helping them get a sort of a dialogue going in their head about what they should write. Should they be having AI write the whole essay or the supplemental answers? No. But I think there is a role that AI can play in making this process smoother for students. For instance, I have talked to students about using AI to describe their activities because they're limited to 150 characters. It's very difficult. So a student could put in the information and tell AI, like ChatGPT, that they need it to be in 150 characters, and ChatGPT can sort of guide them to it. So there's a lot that they can use AI for without worrying about, setting off an AI detector. I think they should be responsible, and I think they should keep in mind that these admissions reps have seen every possible essay ever written. They will know if an essay is not written by a student. They can tell, as I'm sure all English teachers can tell as well. We're going to get into financial aid and things like that as we get into the fall, but I just want to throw some information out there in case this is your first time sending a student to college. We will be having some webinars coming up about FAFSA and financial aid. And then going along with that is the price of college and figuring out, what your actual sticker price is going to be. This could be very helpful information for a lot of families. And this is also so just some definitions that you can take a look at as you get to the financial aid portion of this year. I do want to shout out some special considerations and resources. Colleges are very interested in hearing about students' total life experiences. If you are a family where neither parent attended college or attended four-year college, your student is likely considered a first-generation college student, and that is something that they should let colleges know about. There are a lot of resources to help the students through that process, and a lot of colleges are eager to work with first-generation students. So make sure that that's something that your student is proud of talking about, and they should be proud about it. If you are an English language learning family, I do want to point out that your student, if they were categorized as an EML student anytime throughout their high school experience, so only 9th through 12th grade, they most likely will have to submit an English proficiency test. TOEFL is the standard, the old standard. Nowadays, Duolingo is in that game, and that is widely accepted, and it's very easy for students to access. If we have any undocumented or dreamer students, you can attend college. You can't complete FAFSA, but the state of Maryland does have resources for you. The counselors are all aware of those. We've all received training in that. So if that is something that applies to you or your family, reach out to your counselor. Student athletes, hopefully, if they are a potential student athlete, they have already registered with the NCAA. If not, I would do that right away, just so colleges can communicate with Wooten and vice versa. Again, just some things, because as we're talking about mental health and senior year and all of that, organization is going to be key. I think a lot of setup on the front end saves a lot of heartache on the back end. Also healthy habits, and this is something that families can help their student with, because the students aren't going to be great at that on their own. They should be working ahead of deadlines so they're not under a lot of pressure. They should be checking their email regularly. Colleges will be emailing them a lot. And also trying to maintain balance, I think, is really important. And in terms of their support system here at school, obviously there's me, but there is also their counselor, their 12th grade administrator, and their teachers. Some dates coming up. So I don't know why it says September 9th, start requesting transcripts. That's old. That's already happening. Planning for the Future Friday is coming up, like I mentioned. And then Monday, October 6th is the annual College and Career Fair. It is not too late for seniors to meet some great colleges and add them to their list. And then FAFSA financial aid info sessions coming in October and November. Basically, they've got this. I'm not worried. Everybody trust the process. People will land where they are supposed to go. And when we send this out, there is a link to a college application checklist that we used to use. It might still be helpful, so I didn't want to remove it. There we go. Do we want to open it to questions? I don't know if we're going to do that in the chat or...
Yes, I have opened the chat for questions.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to give people a few minutes, probably a lot to type. Oh. Let me see. I was going to say, if I have my college visit list while we're waiting, I can tell you guys who's coming to see us. Let me see if I can look that up. I know that we have Brown coming on Thursday at 8th period. Who do we have tomorrow? Let's see, view.
There's a question in
Oh,
the
yay.
a couple questions I can read out.
Yep, sure.
First, is there a fee for requesting transcript? Are there any fees
No.
associated with that?
No. There might be a fee, like if your student once they're in college, decides to transfer colleges and they still need their high school transcript. I think there's like a nominal $5 fee at that time, but not for seniors.
If the counselor indicated they would write a letter prior to leaving, how do we get a copy of the letter? Dr. Ponce, do you mind taking
You would
that
never
in?
get a copy of the letter.
I'm sorry?
You would never get a copy of the letter.
Yeah.
That is always confidential, which is the whole point of waiving that FERPA that we talked about earlier. So even if your student's counselor was still here, so like Mr. Kurtz or Ms. Beanstock, your student still will not see a copy of the letter.
If a student is dual enrollment, do they need to request Montgomery College transcript separately?
Yes. The short answer is most likely. The people who will need to request transcripts outside of just Wooten is anybody who attended a high school outside of MCPS. You will have to contact that high school and have that transcript sent, especially to the University of Maryland. The University of Maryland is very, very strict about this. If your student attended a school internationally, they will most likely have to contact that school and have that transcript sent. If your student has any college credits, especially from Montgomery College, they will have to contact the college and have that sent. The other situation that we run into that's similar is students who do summertime college courses at different universities across the United States and get like a 3-credit course. They will probably have to send those as well.
Another question, will this wonderful PowerPoint be posted anywhere? I'm assuming
As long as Dr. Bostic or whoever is our webmaster can add it, absolutely.
I'll be posting a YouTube of link of this whole presentation today
Yay.
to all the parents.
So the school profile, I see a question about the school profile. So that is something that we will have to evaluate. So previously, most schools only shared that with colleges. There has been a trend lately to make that information public. I believe Sherwood has it. I don't know, maybe if Mr. Vermillion is here. I think Sherwood and some other schools might have it on the school's website. So that is something that I think Dr. Bostic will have to talk to his principal group about and see what the other high schools are doing. But in the past, it was reserved exclusively to go to the colleges. But honestly, it's information that already exists. I just have to put it in one document, but all of the information you can find either on our dashboard, on our website, things like that.
And is there a way to confirm that a recommendation was completed? Once it's completed, is there a way for a parent to see that that was done?
Yes. So as Dr. Ponce mentioned, the counselors are in the process right now of bringing down every senior individually. At that time, they will be going through the Naviance system to see what's there, what still needs to be uploaded, and they will take care of it at that time. And I believe the student will be able to see that on their end as well in Naviance.
Can I keep firing them at you?
Yeah, please.
We're ready
Love
for
it.
another one? All right. For FAFSA, the portal
Yes.
opens November 1st. Is that correct?
I believe it's going to be October 1st, and somebody said that there was a beta version already open.
And is there a deadline to finish the process? Does it need to be tied to the Common App?
The FAFSA process, technically not really. However, that's a lie, and I would finish it by early spring. Sometimes at certain schools, it is a first come, first serve kind of situation, or certain pots of money are first come, first serve. So the earlier that a family completes it, the better. And also FAFSA, I think one of the things that is sort of a misconception is people assume that just because a family makes over a certain amount per year, that their student will be eligible for anything anyway, and there's no point in doing FAFSA. I can tell you, just experience as a parent who has a daughter in college, most colleges that provide merit aid or merit scholarships need the FAFSA information in order for your student to get that scholarship. So there's a lot of reason to do it, even if you know you're not doing it to qualify for like government aid.
All right. Does applying to early action provide a better chance of getting into college?
The short answer is yes. I think statistics have shown that by and large, the answer is going to be yes. I will tell you from experience, talking with our advisor from the University of Maryland, the answer for University of Maryland is very much yes. We recommend any Wooten student who is planning to apply to the University of Maryland at College Park to apply early. There just might not be spots left if you wait.
Yeah. Jen, if I could add, I want to
Yeah.
say when I've spoken to the college reps from Maryland, it's somewhere in the 90% range. They accept 90% of the freshman class from that early action. So just statistically, you have a better chance if you apply in the November deadline. So we highly, highly encourage early action.
Highly, highly, especially for that school.
All right. You did a great job, Ms. McDonald and Dr. Ponce. Thank you so much. This is really great information. I know our parents really appreciate that. It is a complicated process, but you made it nice and smooth. So thank you for that. That's everything I see in the old chat box there. I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. It was great to see all of you. Look at all those hearts and clapping hands. They're just floating up. There's another heart. That one has like glitter on it too. Those are great. A big hand. Oh my God, that one just blew up. Thank you, everybody. If you have any clarifying questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you for trusting us in the education of your child. It really is an honor. We're gonna have a great year.
And if I could make a plug also, I think part of this letting go process and growing up and maturing process is really pushing your student to be the driver of all of this. So if you have questions, especially for me, please encourage your student to come down and talk to me or make an appointment with me themselves. I think this is a really important skill that they need to learn to be successful in college. And I really would rather them learn it with me before they go off and don't know what to do when they get into college. So discuss any questions you have and encourage them to be brave and come see me.
Send your children to Ms. McDonald.
I mean,
can see she knows a whole bunch about college and the whole admission process. So please.
All right.
Last
And then
question.
I will be
How do we
giving
designate CM courses in the Common App? Ms. Hall's got the last question.
Wait.
know this
What's
one?
the question?
How do we designate CM courses?
Just regular. The only thing that you would talk about is honors, obviously designated as honors, AP designated as AP. But other than that, the main goal is just to make sure that whatever you're putting in Common App matches what will be in the transcript. You don't want to have there to be a discrepancy and for the school to wonder what's going on. Yeah. So most CM's classes are going to be whatever they're titled. So if it says honors in the name, it would be an honors class. If not, then it would be regular.
Okay, we couldn't stump you. We tried to stump you with some of these questions. You did a great job. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And it's going to be a wonderful year. Thank you, Mr. Raven, for loaning us your Zoom link.
Of course. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you.